Here I come.
Oh,
Here I come.
so I actually have three things that I want to discuss about this film that I saw that is worth mentioning, and most notably, the most important that we got out of One Piece film Red. It's a lot to digest, and there was some interesting characters that returned that we have not seen in years, which I'm all for it. If we haven't seen them, fan favorites, why not bring them back in these features? There ain't nothing wrong with it. Nobody gets there's no harm, no foul. So with that being said, the three things that I would like to discuss is one, Luffy's, Yuda's, and Shanks' relationship. Number two, the Navy's perception of the people in the One Piece world. That's very interesting because there are some who side with the Navy and some who side against the Navy. And there are some who are kind of like mutual. You can tell because and the only reason why is because the Celestial Dragons. Number three, Gear Fifth and Shanks' crew. Their abilities, what they could do, how powerful they actually are. These are the three things I'm going to discuss with you. So without further ado, let's get to this video. But first, if you like content like this, where I'm discussing One Piece, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and click that bell for notifications. So without further ado, let's get to it. So we seen the relationship between these three, Yuda, Shanks, and Luffy, towards the right before the build up between the start of the war between Luffy and Kaido. We saw the episodes that they gave us. I think they gave us like 3 or 4 episodes with Yuda and Luffy when they were younger. Which, hey, by all means, I was fine with that because it gave us a little bit more in-depth background of the relationship between Shanks, Yuda, and Luffy, of course. So now we know. Now we know why Luffy always wanted a musician on his boat, on his ship. Now we know why Luffy tries to sing even though he cannot sing. I don't know if this is some Oda pulled out of his bag or it just made sense to use it because this is just the way that his story was going at the pace with Luffy and Yuda and Shanks. It just makes sense. Now let's dive a little deeper between Yuda and Luffy. All right, Yuda and Luffy, they are pretty much siblings, believe it or not. We have, of course, we got Ace, we have Sabo, then we got Yuda and Luffy. And Yuda is pretty much his extension of his family from Shanks' crew. They see or view Shanks as a father, and that's pretty much what this relationship is going to be. So if you were ever thinking about seeing a battle between Luffy and Shanks, this movie just pretty much confirmed that that'll never be happening. I think Shanks will be willing to give, if he had to pick between who's going to get the One Piece, I think he would just give it to Luffy. He just give it to Luffy. I mean, just based off of what we've seen so far, with everybody on Shanks' crew, the amount of trust and like hope they have for each other's crew, they have the respect is there for both crews. Even with Usopp and Yasopp, basically his dad and son, you can't even call them rival crews. They're kind of like bonded literally by blood. That's what's gonna make this whole Emperor of the Sea rivalry between Shanks and Luffy gonna be pretty much squashed before it even starts. I don't see it happening. I see more so of Luffy and Shanks teaming up to take down somebody like the Celestial Dragons. I do see that happening for a fact to take down Immu. And I think that will be happening because that's just the way the story is playing out. There's no other way for it to play out other than where is it going? These guys, Shanks' crew and Luffy's crew, have a close relationship with each other. I wouldn't even say Luffy's crew, but Shanks has a close relationship with Luffy. And Luffy has a very close relationship with Shanks' crew, with the Red Hat Pirates, because he actually wanted to join them at one point. But Shanks actually told him that he couldn't join his crew because he's too rambunctious. He wouldn't be able to be controlled. Which, I mean, understandable. That's understandable coming from Shanks. So number two, the Navy's perception to the people of the One Piece world. Now, this was very interesting, especially with Yuda having to explain that she really did not like pirates because, like I said, but before I even say this, if you want, I don't want to spoil this for anybody. So if you have not watched the film yet, do me a favor. Click off this video, especially if you want to watch and you don't want to be spoiled. Go ahead and click off the video right now, but come back. Please come back and join the discussion when you're done watching it. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. But I'm going to continue. Like I was saying, the Navy's perception in the world of One Piece is kind of like mixed reviews. You got the people who are against the Navy, you got people who side with the Navy, and then you got those people right down the line who actually are kind of neutral because of the fact of the Celestial Dragons. They know that the Navy is controlled by the Celestial Dragons, which means that they have to abide by the Celestial Dragons, or the Navy will come pretty much clean up behind them. Buster, call your island. That's just how it goes. So, with that being said, the people in the One Piece world actually respect the Navy only and if only there are conditions attached. It has to be a condition attached to, like Kobe. I'm gonna say Kobe for instance. Kobe was he was on stage. He pops up on the stage, and everybody like, oh, it's the hero, the hero. Rock Point. I can't remember Rockport or Rock Point. It was a battle where he saved a bunch of civilians, so he became known as a hero of the Navy. Hmm? Do we need to say AKA Garp? So are we seeing the next generation of Garp come into play? Who's also known as the hero of the Navy? I think so. I think Kobe is going to be that. I think Kobe is going to be that dude. And if you haven't seen that by now, or you haven't recognized it, is happening because it's happening right before our eyes. He doesn't have a devil fruit. Will he get a devil fruit in the future? I don't know. Kobe may be that one admiral who just OP with straight hockey. He can sense Luffy's presence on an island, and observation hockey is pretty much there. Observation hockey is pretty much being thrown out everywhere. I'm saying right now. I think that observation hockey is pretty much it's being it's a high skill. First of all, it's a high skill. Now, what is it like to be a Conqueror's hockey user with observation hockey? I think that's what we're going to see in the Katakuri and the Shanks. So we know what Conqueror's hockey looks like when a observation hockey user uses it. Those two in combination is just it's a deadly combo. It's a deadly combo. And we know that. But with that being said, Kobe is going to be one of those guys who is going to be a very great observational hockey user, and that's how he's going to keep up with Luffy. He may be even a little better at it, but Luffy has the overall attack power, so you cannot dodge forever. Even if you're able to use observational hockey, you can't dodge forever. Your stamina is going to run low at some point. Kizura Barcelino. I I don't like this guy. I don't. I'm gonna tell you right now. I never had the. I like his character. I like what he does. I like what he brings to the table for the Navy. But I don't like him. I don't like him, and I see why now. He's more of a ruthless, cutthroat admiral who has the character of a captain of a violent pirate crew. He's more malicious than Shanks and Luffy. Like that's just backwards because he's supposed to be a Navy admiral. He's supposed to have this esteemed position. Even a Kane. I don't like him either. Like between a Kane and Kizura, like both these guys can pretty much disappear from One Piece world, and I'll be completely fine with it. But with these two guys, I think they're kind of needed because they are pretty much the antagonist of the story, especially when you're thinking about the Navy. When you're thinking about that bad side, the people that don't disagree with the Navy, I'm thinking of Barcelona Kizura and a Kane, the fleet admiral. Those are the two people that I'm thinking of when I got the people who are neutral, who want to hate the Navy, but they know they can't because of the Celestial Dragons. Then I got the people who really just don't like the Navy, and that's because of these two guys, Barcelino and a Kane, which I completely understand when this stance is being taken. If you're against the Navy, completely understandable. Now, people who are against the Navy, remember that's Kobe, and Kobe makes up a lot. He makes up a lot, dealing with that. He's only who he is. He's a vice admiral. Yeah, he doesn't even have the power to do anything and make any changes to the Navy other than just keep doing good things. And one day he'll be an admiral. Now, with that being said or mentioned, my boy Shanks put Barcelona Kizaru in his place, and that was one of the best scenes of the movie that I enjoyed. Is when you see Kizaru, he goes into the air. He's getting ready to fire off that glint fruit. He's getting ready to fire it off, but Shanks notices and he beelines him towards in the air, and it's like Shanks. You see a red flash into the sky, and it's Shanks pretty much sword at Kizura's throat, telling him to stand down. It's family matters, and he was going to deal with it the way he was going to deal with it. So that was pretty much one of my best moments of the movie to me and film Red. And I can just keep replaying that scene over and over in my head because it was just that good. It was good. It was a good scene. Now as far as everything else, it's a lot. It's a lot. So where should we begin? Let's start with towards the end of the movie with these two crews, respective crews, fighting with each other. So I was kind of right. If you have not seen what I think about Shanks, I've made videos in the past about what I think how Shanks is going to have to fight because he has one arm. It's kind of hard to be a one arm emperor, even with your hockey. If you go back and see what I thought about Shanks' crew and how they would be fighting, I was pretty much dead on. So Shanks' crew, they use a plethora of combination attacks. All of these guys, they move as one unit. And in this movie, we got to see the Straw Hats actually move as one unit as well, because normally they're divided up, they're fighting on their own, and Luffy expects them to win and win their battles, and that's what they're pretty much doing because they are reliable. However, Shanks brought a teamwork that we haven't seen in One Piece yet. So this crew fights as one and they move as one. Not to mention, there's a guy on Shanks' crew who can shoot out a beam from his mouth. He's kind of remind me of, if you think of the ape from the ape transformation from Dragon Ball Z, and they fire the hyper beam out of their mouth. He could do that, and I'm like, what kind of animal? What kind of person is he? Like that's dope. It's kind of like Frankie, Frankie's laser beam that he shoots out of his hands. So I thought that was pretty dope. And this guy has no type of he has no. I don't think he has devil fruit. I don't think any Shanks crew are all confirmed not to have devil fruits. So that was pretty dope. And seeing some of Shanks crew in action was just pretty much, that was so, what is the word that I'm looking for? It was so satisfying. Just seeing Shanks crew fight, it was so satisfying. Like, we haven't seen this in a long time. I mean, we've hoped, all this stuff. We've hoped all this stuff would come true, and we get it in film Red, and it was so satisfying, to say the least. Now, with that being said, Shanks, a lot of people on Shanks' crew, Katakuri is standing next to Shanks and he's telling them, "Hey, I have observation haki, and I can see through my sister's eyes in that world. So we need to coordinate this attack." And Shanks, wait a minute, wait. You're not the only one who can use observation haki, dude. What are you talking about? So it kind of puts a perspective on Shanks' crew as a whole. You got Katakuri, who we thought was OP, when we first met him, because we like observation haki. This dude can see attacks from the future. Yeah, he can. And Shanks' crew got it. And for all we know is Usopp, Shanks is capable of using observation haki, and that's just Ben Beckman. I'm sure he can use some form of observation haki. So this is what's really interesting about Shanks' crew. Like, these guys are stacked when it comes to haki abilities. So Devil Fruits is pretty much, they're not scared of fighting people or crews with Devil Fruits because of their haki, the usage of haki and their abilities that they can use. Now, one of the favorite parts that I gotta mention is that Usopp finally gets his observation haki. He activates his observation haki because it's to a point where Usopp is at this make it or break it point. He's at a point where he's either going to make it or break it. And he actually stands firm. His dad is like, "I'm waiting on the youngster," but and then finally Usopp activates his observation haki. And this is what the Straw Hats need. This is what everybody needs, because you got Sanji and Zoro who can use observation haki, Luffy who can use observation haki. So we needed more people on Luffy's crew who is capable of this. Even Usopp is not even that strong, but at least with his observational haki, he can become that much more deadlier as far as being a sniper on the One Piece, on the Straw Hats crew. That was just one of the good points that I've seen. Like that made my day. Like as far as the movies, that solidified the Straw Hats' greatness and how great this crew is going to be, especially when they come up against foes such as these new and upcoming opponents that we haven't seen yet, that are being built to the point where we don't even know what's going on. So it's going to be very interesting to see the next Paramount War that's going to be happening. It's gonna be dope, guys. We got a lot of stuff that's going to be coming up in the future that I think is just going to be phenomenal. But before the end of this video, I just want to let y'all know Shanks is that dude. Shanks is that dude, and I think he'll mop the floor with Luffy any day in 1v1. It'd be close. It'd be a good fight, simply because Luffy is when Luffy starts to. It takes Luffy time. He's not high, his IQ is not that high in battle. Shanks' IQ, it's like fighting it's like Shikamaru fighting with Naruto strength. That's Shanks. Now it's time to get this movie a rating. So I think with the usefulness of this movie, I'm gonna grade the usefulness of putting out Film Red. It's canon. How canon is this movie? Give it a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10 because Yuda actually is a key component that needed to be created to bridge Luffy and Shanks crew. This needed to be bridged together because we always wanted to know what is the purpose of the Luffy straw hat. Why does he wants to give it back to Shanks so bad? So Yuda was a key component to bridging these two guys together. I'm all for it. 9.5 out of 10 as far as usefulness as for the story, for the movie. Now, on the scale of 1 through 10, where does it fall from on the list of movies that have already been produced? Meaning, on the scale of 1 to 10, I don't know about you guys, but Stampede was my favorite movie. Now, this movie, Red, this movie falls at the top. So I have to give it 10 out of 10 as far as this scale goes, because 10 is the best. At first, Stampede was number 10, but Stampede gets nudged down, maybe one notch, and give it a 9. But Red takes the cake as far as being the best One Piece film ever released. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm going to grade my interest level for this movie. I'm not going to lie. My interest level for this movie was not all there because sometimes, now, hear me out. Now, if you are a One Piece fan and you've watched all the movies, now, I'm not talking about it. You're a fanboy, meaning you are going to like everything Oda puts out, no matter what, because you are a diehard fanboy. I'm not a fanboy. I'm a guy who started watching One Piece, who really loved the story and loved the adventure. And I'm not against giving Oda criticism. Some of his movies were not up to par or not what I expected. However, Film Red was it did a good job. Now, if you are not into musicals, such as I am, I'm not into musicals. I'm not a big fan of musicals. Then you're gonna be like me. My interest level was about an 8 out of 10. I'm not gonna lie. The singing, now some dope soundtracks. It was some dope soundtracks, but I am more so explosions and fist meeting of a fist. That's me. That's what I like about One Piece. That's why I fell in love with it. Zoro with his sword, Sanji with his Diablo Jembe, his legs. That's me. Frankie smashing things. That's what I'm about. So this was a musical. It was more so on the south side, but then it started to turn up as we got towards the end when everybody started displaying their abilities. It was like, okay, this is where it's at. This is what I've been waiting for. But there was a song pretty much every 15 to 20 minutes. There was a song being played throughout the movie because, of course, Udo is the main character, and she was singing songs throughout the whole movie, so she can continue to use her abilities that she had, which is the sing fruit. Like I said, if you have not watched this movie yet, go watch it. But all in all, we do some quick math, and I give it a 9 out of 10 as far as my overall rating. So a 9 is pretty strong. I mean, it's a must watch. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. Come back, drop some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think, because I liked the movie. And as a guy who, like I said, I'm not into musicals, but this actually was pretty good. And I like the soundtracks. So, yeah. But until then, guys, thank you for watching. I'm out.